Welcome back to another week's analysis behind the news. Mr. Thompson is on the road this week and asked me to fill in for him. So other than the Super Bowl, the biggest news that we saw over the week actually comes from the New American. And they found a little article from CNN that has raised a number of inquiries from members and from other constitutionalists across America. They were wondering what we had to say about it. So the New American, if you allow me to read a little bit of it, and you can actually go to thenewamerican.com and take a look for yourself at the article. It's called "After Crying Conspiracy Theory, CNN Touts North American Union." So I'll read a couple sentences here. So just a few years ago, it was all a baseless conspiracy theory. Now, promotion of a European Union-style merger between the United States, Mexico, and Canada is being shouted from the rooftops by U.S. taxpayer-funded globalists writing in the very same media outlet, CNN, that tried to ridicule GOP presidential hopeful Ron Paul over the North American Union issue just a few years ago. Indeed, according to the recent opinion piece by two mid-level operatives for the New America Foundation, which, by the way, has nothing to do with the New American magazine, the future of the United States, they write, does not rest with the United States Constitution, we the people, or even the Supreme Court. Instead, it lies in North America. And this is what the New America's Andreas Martinez and Daniel Kurtz-Phelan wrote about. So getting into their article a little bit, and in all fairness to CNN, they did write in here that this is an opinion piece, and that the opinions expressed in this commentary are solely those of the authors. But yet it is rather interesting why they decided to put this in here, especially as they say in here, it's a fourth in a series. And the series is Big Ideas for a New America. Well, we have to ask, why do we need a new America? What was wrong with the old America? But the fact of the matter is we've gotten so far away from our constitutional foundation that there indeed certainly seems to be a new America now, doesn't there? So getting into the article, it says the future of the United States lies in North America. Lies in North America. This is not a geographical truism, but a strategic imperative. Strategic imperative. Now keep that in mind. It says generations of Americans distracted by far-flung crises have long taken our own region for granted. Well, hasn't the U.S. Congress and the federal government as a whole taken the United States as a region for granted? It says this must change if the 21st century is to be an American century. Well, I'd like to know exactly what their criteria is for an American century, because the United States federal government has done all it can in order to make sure that the 21st century is anything but an American century. And you'll be able to see that they're not thinking along the lines of sovereign nation. They are thinking internationally or globally. And you'll be able to see that as we go a little bit further in here. It says, United States, Canada, and Mexico are bound by a shared economic, environmental, demographic, and cultural destiny. How we move forward together is key to our success. Now, do you think the Founding Fathers sat down and were interested in what other countries, what they would think of having a shared economic, environmental, demographic, and cultural destiny? Highly unlikely. To continue, it says Mexico and Canada are now the top two export markets for the United States and two of our top three trading partners overall. It says here, trade has exploded in the 2 decades since the passage of the North American Free Trade Agreement, or NAFTA, which has created an integrated manufacturing platform and labor market. I'll let that sink in a little bit, ladies and gentlemen. NAFTA has created an integrated manufacturing platform and labor market. Integrated. What we would argue is that it has actually decimated labor through the, or I should say, the manufacturing platform and labor market in that particular industry. The unions would also call that offshoring. So the fact that, I hope that they wrote that tongue-in-cheek, but obviously they did not. But they go in and start to tout, how all the good that NAFTA has done for Canada, Mexico, United States. But yet, we can cite stats and figures ourselves too. As a matter of fact, if you take a look at our one of our brochures called "Isn't Free Trade Good for Everyone?" in here we talk about free trade promises and free trade realities. Let us list some of the realities for you. It says NAFTA turned an annual trade surplus with Mexico into a growing deficit. NAFTA has killed/exported hundreds of thousands of American jobs. But yet they don't talk about that so much in here. They talk about how all the good that is done, because it must be a good thing that all of these jobs have been exported into other countries, because this is why they want to have their passport. They want to be able to go back and forth, the North American passport, to go back and forth and have a free flow trade of labor and goods and whatnot. But yet in so doing, they've killed American jobs specifically. It says here also, NAFTA tribunals have already overridden U.S. laws and U.S. court rulings, and prominent NAFTA backers have admitted that opponents' fears about this were justified. And we have much more in here, too, about how American jobs were offshored, how there's plenty of unemployment issues that have plagued the U.S. Regarding that, and that our manufacturing base has just been decimated. So getting back to the article. It says benefits of a North American passport. They write in here, we have more than 10 million undocumented immigrants in this country because we didn't create a realistic legal avenue for the number of Mexicans who would and should, as they say in here, given our level of integration, come to the United States over time. Well, now think about that for a minute. They're talking about integration. Now, isn't that what the John Birch Society had been talking about back in 2007 when the Security and Prosperity Partnership was being introduced and was basically going to try to get us all into a North American Union, as we coined it? Or I should say as it was coined at the time. And so now suddenly, when you take a look at what they're proposing for this North American passport, where does it end? Are they talking about a passport now? Perhaps they're talking about probably finding a pathway for these 10 million undocumented immigrants. But yet, let's not be naive about this. 10 million? They've been saying that it's 10 to 15 million for how many years? It's got to be closer to 20, 30, 40 million? This is insane. And so to finish off on their article here, it says a North American passport would reflect the unique relationship and shared interests among our nations. Well, now that's all well and good as far as trade goes, but why does it need to be anything that's bound together by anything? Why must there be a North American passport? And getting back to the New American take on all of this, let me just jump down to the last paragraph. It says, of course, the New American has been exposing the plot to surrender American independence to a continental regime for almost a decade. The founding father of the bid to impose a North American regime on the United States, Council on Foreign Relations operative Robert Pastor, even credited the John Birch Society, as they say in here, a constitutionalist organization and affiliate of this magazine, with stopping the plot. However, as recent developments show clearly, the extremist movement to subvert self-government and national sovereignty by powerful forces across North America is still alive and well. And unless the people of the United States, Canada, and Mexico get educated and organized to stop it, the threat of an EU-style continental regime to rule North America will continue to grow. And ladies and gentlemen, that's where we leave it. We want you to go to jbs.org and take a look at all of the free tools that we have available and other tools that you can purchase as well to educate yourself on the dangers of this, what they're calling the North American passport. We did call back in 2007 the North American Union. And so now we've got free trade partnerships that are coming up that the Obama administration is going to be touting. And if you think that the Obama administration has been subverting or pushing America into socialism through their domestic policy, why would the trade policy be any different? Mr. Thompson has alluded to this several times in the past. So take a look at that information, and take a look also at our action project called Choose Freedom, Stop the Free Trade Agenda. And in it, we want you to contact your congressman and to do three things. To send an email to your congressman letting them know that you do not want them to have free trade agenda being passed in the form of Trade Promotion Authority, TPA, or a Trans-Atlantic Union or a Trans-Pacific Union. We don't want any of those things, and you will find messages to send to your congressman already written, but you can customize them at jbs.org. So go to our action project, Choose Freedom, Stop the Free Trade Agenda, and take a look at that and take that action right now. Until next week, we'll see you then.